important, it's basically like he should be able to create like what a sound sounds like on this side of a door behind, and what it sounds like behind the door, and actually artificially create that sensation. In games like we have a lot of interesting engineering and editing techniques, and one of the one of the projects that I was working on, I was given a character like this dragon here, and I had to create this whole dragon sound effect. So I collected a lot of lion roars and bears and tigers and leopard sounds, and I kind of morphed them and I kind of layered them and stuff, and created this whole special tone. Well, basically what I did was highlight the frequencies that are animal voice of each animal voice, and then layered them. Basically, while the lower tone of the lion was like giving the superior size of the character, the higher register of leopard screams was actually adding to its angled expression. Of course, as much as it is easy to be so creative, game projects do have their deadlines, so it's all very practical to create and manage and update your own sound effects. A lot of your source recordings as such are lengthy and go unused. So it is a good practice to actually create a database of them so that you can keep using them every time you need to. Now with voiceovers, this is a task. It's an added responsibility. Getting the right voice note. You're responsible for the entire soundscape of So it's only imperative that along with engaging good writers, you have good voice direction skills to be able to get the right performance out of voice talents. Also, it is a good practice to keep auditioning offline, and build a database, so that you don't waste a lot of time in casting sessions. But in some complex games, we do actually have to, if you can't handle it yourself, or if it requires a certain specialized, if you're working with an accent, let's say you're doing an American project, you don't find those kind of voices here. So it's good to hire contractors, voice production contractors who will actually take care of the entire voice production. They'll carry out casting sessions, they'll book the studios, they'll actually give you sample recordings so that you can choose. Now, of course, we are required to give appropriate briefs to these contractor scripts and sort of indirectly co-direct the voices so we can stick to the context. Now, this is where games are unique from other linear medium that requires audio professionals not only to be adept at producing these audio assets, but also get involved in the implementation process. Now, but before we get into the actual implementation phase, there is a task of first prioritizing your assets. In order to maintain the required level of entertainment, the sound of each occasion is prioritized. A producer and sound team would decide in advance which sound is more important, and assist the audio programmer in the execution of the plan. Also, many times not everything that is created that goes into the game. So the whole idea of sound prioritization is to ensure that we not compromise on a successful blend of audio elements, and that we have chosen all that is necessary to establish the entire soundscape. The implementation phase is basically the place where a sound designer would work very closely with the programming team to ensure that everything is going in correctly, which means all audio volumes and triggers are activated at the right time. While it's very important that to have a good set of ears of the composer and sound designer available to assist the programmer, the composers and sound designers can relate their overall soundscape and listen to the implementation issues that disrupt the subtleties of the audio mix. If integrated incorrectly, then normally it kind of insignificant sounds might get louder and kind of can ruin the entire feel of the game and make it sound amateurish. There are various tools, some of which are platform specific and are used as part of the implementation process. One such tool is the Nitro Sound Maker used for the Nintendo DS, where your composition is actually imported into a workspace table, and all your sounds are triggered through MIDI messages. And the other thing, and then the audio programmer would then correlate the scripting information generated by the sound maker to all specified events. For PC and console games, there are various tools as well. There are certain middleware applications that composers and sound designers can use to ensure quality implementation, like FMOD Designer and WWise are two such tools. They are equipped with a very user-friendly interface that is very musician-friendly. That helps with the creation of complex events and that get automatically scripted. Challenges of creating reactive SFX such as car engines are made easier. FMOD Designer comes with an RPM based parameter where you can import a number of car engine loops and on various speeds and shift between them and according to their specified RPM values. You can interconnect various musical portions so that music changes according to how you play the game. You can apply effects such as occlusion and obstruction using its editing functionality and create this right impression. Now, while you have your tools and techniques down, adequate production and flawless implementation will only take place if your audio requirements are appropriately planned out into stages and of production. And of course, it means that you work with your project manager on these things. So our next section is the production side. Now, I've created this table, which kind of like ideally I would like things to flow in this order, but usually there are multiple phases, and and a game has certain requirements, and getting them right, and how you plan the production. But it can get quite tricky, especially if the audio comes into consideration closer to the alpha stages. Sometimes that very often that's exactly what happens. Now, while creating the right sound effects, during the pre-production and planning phase, you start off with, you have a game ready for you, and you can actually, by the time we are ready for sound, usually we've got a certain amount of gameplay ready. So a sound designer can actually play the game and actually jot down and a sound effects asset list. Now, what this helps is actually helps in determining the duration that you would have in performing the task of producing these SFX. You would simultaneously implement placeholder sounds to actually sort out, and so that you can test the audio engine and any of the triggers. Technical specifications are taken into consideration, like file formats, sampling rates, whether you're using the mono or stereo surround. Because in terms of directional sounds, many times if you're using directional sounds, you would use them as mono. If you're using them as part of an ambience, you would probably use them as either stereo or surround. Knowing these parameters will actually help in creating the right audio. Although, along with the asset list, the creative thought process behind the sound design is established. What is the game design? What direction are we taking? Is it realism or dramatic, futuristic or ancient? The right then you have the audio scripting information. All of this is gathered along with details of art assets. Animation mockups for playing characters and NPCs are gathered for reference, context, and sync points. Once you're set with the assets, the final production is executed, and to update all placeholder sounds, and it basically involves various tasks in order to get the final output. Different sound effects would involve different approaches, and some sounds might require like some of the techniques that I already spoke about, like Foleying and remote recording, and some might require being electronically synthesized in games, especially centered around around futuristic themes. Audio morphing is a relatively new concept which is used to build atmospheres and textural ambiences. Or basically they're used to create light, eerie senses and stuff. After the production implementations are sort of complete, we basically have to get sound designers do unofficially kind of get involved in the beta testing phases, where we sort out issues whether the sound effects are working properly or not. Modifications are always made, tweaked, even changes are made, but and usually, final tweaking goes right up to the goal. With getting the music right, again, it's got its own pre-production and planning stages. You have to build a BGM and music asset list so that you can know the duration of the production, the number of music tracks that you're going to be composing, pieces, flourishes associated with that. Getting the right placeholder sound can be a little difficult because you are still working on the direction that will work in the game. A composer would also go through certain preparations, like what all do I need inside a game. You'll have the main theme, which will kind of like drive the game, and every other music that is created would actually be significantly that would be the referring point for creating any other music. You would have level tracks and character specific themes, while level music would set the tone of the level, your character specific themes would actually add that the extra dimension to the storytelling feature. All of these facets are to be considered in advance so that we get the music right. Certain technical considerations are made regarding production, extent of production, as well as implementation. File formats, resolution, playback expectation, adaptive and interactive considerations, and platforms are all taken into account as it would determine how the amount of music and how you're going to and the manner in which you're going to compose. The music thought process is basically a much an internalized process where you have to get deeply immersed into the game world in order to get that right sound. And also, but at the same time, you need to take into account whether you have enough time for experimentation. While most of the music would be produced using your own digital tools, depending on the scope of the games, and there will be some times where you need additional recording, and it would involve musicians and external studios. So the choice of studio and whether you're going to have live orchestras or a band will have to be planned much before its execution. Once the entire body of music is completed for a game, a very important phase, mastering, which is actually the whole purpose is to actually add polish and consistency in terms of equalization and volume and generally apply general enhancement. Of course, it is far more practical to master your music after the implementation because it's really you're just adding polish over your music. All right, I'm ready. Okay, I guess. Yeah, I'm good. No, sorry, it's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right.